So if you've never been Blackwater diving or ever heard of Blackwater diving, stick with me through the end of the video because it's an incredible experience. Tonight I'm headed about 5 miles offshore off of Riveria Beach, Florida, looking for the Gulf Stream and about 700 feet of water. But my average depth of the dive is only going to be between 20 and 30 feet because I'm going to be waiting out there in the dark for all the things to come up from the deep. Guys, my name's Jeff. If you hadn't yet subscribed to the channel, definitely hit that subscribe button, smash that bell notification so that you never miss a dive. Because during this dive, we're going to be out there for about 80 minutes, floating along with the Gulf Stream, covering about 5.5 miles during that time, but not even know it because it's pitch black and we have no reference to anything except for one light line. It's incredible. Let's just get in the water. Go. Now I know what you're thinking. What about all the big, scary stuff that lives in the deep? Well, I hate to dispel a myth, but there's no sea monsters down there that are out to get me tonight. Rather, this dive is all about finding all the tiny, almost microscopic sea life that seeks refuge in the deep during the daytime, but migrates up at night to feed on algae. This includes larva and juvenile stages of a lot of the reef fish. Tonight I'm diving with Pura Vida Divers, and like with any dive, safety is paramount. Our primary piece of safety equipment, provided by the Pura Vida Dive crew, is a lighted orange buoy with a line that descends down to 40 feet or 12 meters. The line has a series of bright lights attached to it at different depths to ensure we can see it. Because there will be almost 700 feet of water below me, I won't have a visual reference to anything else but this light line and other divers. Additionally, the lights on the 40-foot down line help attract sea life. As I'm getting ready to enter the water, I'm hoping to find a tiny octopus or seahorse that sometimes hitch a ride on floating sargassum seaweed. Keeping an eye on the orange buoy floating off in the distance, I step out into the darkness. My first objective is to get my bearings and find the buoy line underwater. The lights are dim and in the distance, but I'm feeling comfortable with my position relative to the buoy line, my rate of drift, and my depth, which is roughly 30 feet or 9 meters. I'm starting the dive about 5 miles off West Palm Beach and drifting almost due north. Spreading out from the other divers, I find a good spot to begin searching for sea life. Adjusting my eyes from the big picture, I start to focus in on all the tiny sea life floating and darting around in the water. If you haven't seen our online store, make sure to check it out. Our new Blackwater Diving Tee is soft and comfortable and even has that elusive seahorse that we're looking for on this dive. Switching cameras, I focus in on a jellyfish that passes by. Since everything is moving in all directions, it's a real challenge to keep my subject in focus. But there is so much to see once you train your eye. The problem is, I'm not sure what most of it is. A little piece of seaweed floats past, but nothing is hitching a ride. So I move on to another jellyfish. Taking a moment to regain the big picture of where I'm at in the water relative to the buoy line is important because it's easy to get laser focused on the tiny sea life and drift off into the darkness. I think this is a comb jellyfish, and it's absolutely striking. They use short, almost hair-like structures for swimming called cilia, and when the lights hit the cilia, it dances like a rainbow. The amount of diverse sea life out here in the dark is mind-blowing and almost impossible to see without truly focusing your gaze. Pausing to make sure I'm not drifting off from other divers again, I refocus on the sea life in front of me. After 30 minutes in the water, I've drifted almost 2.5 miles, which means I'm traveling at a speed of about 5 miles per hour, but doing it effortlessly while just floating in the water. I spot another piece of seaweed coming out of the darkness. Looking closely, I can see a tiny seahorse attached to it. It takes a moment to steady up on it, and it drifts slightly below my camera, but eventually I get it in full view. This little guy is incredible and is smaller than my thumbnail. It's a real challenge to get a good shot as it starts to float past me, but I'm able to snap that shutter a couple of times. Drifting with the seahorse has taken me away from the safety of the buoy, but heading back towards it, I discover a tiny squid the size of a grain of rice, a tiny shrimp, and a few other things that I have no idea what they are. At this point, I've been underwater for over 75 minutes, and it's time to swim directly over to the buoy. I'm fairly close to it at this point and can easily spot the lights in the distance. Coming up from 40 feet to 15 feet or 4.5 meters, I begin my 3-minute safety stop. Ascending up the line, my objective is to hit the surface directly next to the buoy, then take both my primary and backup dive lights and shine them at my chest so the boat can see me. The lights of the boat are visible in the distance, and it heads over to pick me up after drifting a total of 5.2 miles. There's a link in the description to our online store, and make sure to check out another video here at the end. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time underwater.